Hey everybody, I'm out here today. I want to talk about a weight for distance drill combo that you can do basically at your gym, or you can see me outside in this perfect Scottish weather here in the Northwest here. So challenging time of year, minimal probably access to implements or wanting to get some good stuff done. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And first talk about the surface conditions and the integration with footwear. You see here I have a slicker hard shell throwing shoe. So this is one option depending on your the health of your feet, knees and everything. You can play around with a few different options, and considering what surface you have, you see these stall mats work well with this shoe particularly. It's nice and fast, but it's not too fast or too difficult that I can't see. You can see hopefully that it's pretty wet, pretty slick here, and I'm not going hard on this drill, so another maybe consideration there. I'll show you a couple other shoe options. Here I have, this is a little bit more grab to it. This is the VS Athletic, and I like anytime I can for overall foot health. That's another topic that I've covered and really believe in. This flexible stuff. This is my Vivo shoe. This is the trainer, the Modus, and that is got a little stiffer shell to it, nice sidewall, a little grabby. So as you maybe see here, it's got these little nubs to it, so it's going to have the most grip, and that would be like potentially something you can play around with, especially on cement. If you have access to turf, that could work well. So you want something that's going to be, especially if it's real deep in the off season here and you do have some mileage on your knees and feet, in a sense, the slickest option is going to be the best for really just getting smooth with these drills and getting really good feedback, although throwing on grass is going to be quite a bit different. So in a sense, if we could splice these in maybe into the preseason a bit more, where you can do some of these drills maybe as a warm-up or something to help remind the body and get things moving well. So play around with that. Again, footwear surface, we have to consider that something we could do between our sets in the gym. It's a nice way, no matter what, getting our feet moving, keeping our feet healthy and strong, and that mind-body connection is only going to be a good thing. So we almost can't go wrong with that. And then first, before I get into this too, we want to make sure we focus on quality, the order of operations here. We got to do this with quality intention, so I'm going to touch on that. And then we want to be consistent with this kind of stuff too. It's better to do a few quality drills more frequently rather than doing a long, especially drill session. It gets pretty boring, half-hour drills in one session a week, rather than splitting up and doing as little as 4 or 5 minutes, doing 20-30 drills. That's great. It's very high return on investment and very low wear and tear on the body, nervous system. It's all good for the body essentially, and very little downfall. Another thing I like to wear is these. This is a Hydrohide Wells Lamont glove I talk about too. So this just allows me to stay out a little bit longer in the conditions, have a consistent grip here. These are new, so they're going to work fine for this purpose, but normally I'd break them in a little bit more here. Then I'll just wear the other one just because it is so cold out right now, and I want to be able to feel my hands and keep things safe too. So here's what my sweet spot with this drill is about a 6 kilo kettlebell. So it's not very heavy. That's 13 pounds or so. Ladies probably want to air down to the 4 kilo. You could use a med ball with a handle. I just want something with a little bit of a handle, something, as you can see when I reverse the motion here, I don't want to strain my shoulder at all, but it's something to give me that sensation. And I can always start or do anything with just these air drills, or sometimes I call them dry fire, or basically like shadow boxing drills. So just like a boxer is gonna generally say they're doing some shadow boxing, there's value to that for sure in their training, similar to what we're doing with throwing. We're going through mental drills to get in positions. Physically, there's not very much on the body, but mentally, I'm operating as close as I can to that 100%, and having good cues in mind, and videoing these even potentially. Is my right foot turning? Am I landing in the right positions? Am I doing this drill with the right intention? So I want to make sure we cover that, and we're not just kind of faking it and literally going through the motion. Very little value to that. And then again, if I'm consistently doing these, I would prefer people, especially this time of year, if they're not doing a lot of throwing, between sets, they're doing some kind of footwork drilling, at least 20-30 minutes a week as a minimally effective dose, I think is really going to make a difference. Again, very little wear and tear and just takes a bit of time, and you can do that in a lot of different ways. So let's get into it here. Starting out, what I like to do is just to get things moving. You could just do a cast position to get into, again, simulating weight for distance, the 2 turn, but I could just work on casts. And you'll see as I turn with this thing, I'm gonna set up in my positions, and I'm gonna come around, and then I'm just gonna catch this weight. So all I'm really able to work on here is getting the hips moving, getting my shoulders and everything in good position, and where I'm turning to, am I replacing my feet? Am I landing in a good position, turning the feet? So we're working on that. Again, you don't even have to have the implement. Most people are gonna benefit or able to work in the implement, but this is very dumbed down, simplified from an actual implement. And of course you could do that as well, or you may wanna do a few of these and then splice in like an actual throw, or if you have a throw bag, that's great too. But again, minimal space. Most gyms, you can find a way to just jump in and do this. Medicine ball is probably gonna be another safety with those little handles to it. You just don't want much out here, but you want something out here to hold on to mimic that position. So again, coming around, and you see how I just replaced that foot. I'm casting, and then I'm just gonna catch it here. And then you'll see I'll do some other rewind type of positions in this next one. I like to go back and rewind my position, basically just working on the opposite side of the body, or sometimes I'll even do these backwards with my opposite arm just to get the system moving really nicely. Again, I wouldn't do this kind of stuff. I wouldn't use this implement deep into the season, but we're so far off season, anybody can benefit from this. And I think the sweet spot especially is going to be more intermediate type of throwers, wanting to push to that next level, or somebody like me with higher mileage, doesn't want to do a ton of throwing, doesn't have the ideal conditions to do this. Maybe you have snow on the ground. A lot of people have a lot more challenging spots than I do. But again, next one here, I'm going to set up and do basically like we're going into our sprint drill, or a single turn coming out of the back. So I'm gonna come around with that kettlebell through my power position and turn and land. And then I like to reverse this too and do multiple reps. What I need to be careful with, as you can see when I get to the front, it's very easy to get, either if I come up too high, I'm gonna put a lot of strain on the shoulder and really get moving in an awkward way with this. So all I'm really doing is, as soon as I'm getting this foot down, I'm starting to turn, and then I'm pretty much hitting the brakes, and then catching that kettlebell and returning back to that start position. So if you can get smooth turning feet, that's the most important part of this. Balance, and of course, if you can get some angles going with my cast and positions, that's good too. Again, I could do this opposite side if I really want to. I'm not feeling up to it, feeling conditioned for it right now, but I could do that kind of stuff. And then, I could progress into if I wanted to do full turns, but it's nice to break these up in a way too. And again, I'm not working on my finish, so beware of that. You're gonna have to do other things to work on that finish. And ultimately, of course, nothing replaces actually getting out and doing the throws, but the smooth turning feet, the strong, stable feet, just integrating all this stuff, getting some movement, some rotation on the body is going to help condition everything. And again, I could do this pretty high rep. You see those return to that position. If I can do that whole sequence, 10 times in a row, that's a throwing kind of conditioning aspect. I get a lot of work done in a short period of time. And if I'm winding and rewinding that position over and hitting roughly the same spots, I can even paint out the areas or chalk out the lines where I want my feet to go. And it's pretty cool to see that. And when somebody gets that down better, they're just much more primed, setting themselves up well for that linkage or that transition, that conduit between the gym and the throwing field, and this kind of thrower's athleticism, or even if you're not a thrower, would be beneficial to do these kind of drills and get the body moving with an implement in our hand. Is only a great athletic tool to consider. So hopefully that's another bonus. The last one here is more of the full turn here. So I could, again, return that. Usually the returns I'll just do from here. Let's rewind there. I could do the full turn. I'm just not feeling like mentally quite there yet. So again, remember your footwear, proper conditions. You want to make sure you're turning the feet well, especially that right foot, turning that foot well. You could work into like the finish here too. Again, I don't like that as much because I have to stop the weight with this hand, but I could work that kind of stuff, turning the foot into that finish and starting to get up. It could make me kind of create some bad habits if I'm not able to get up on that foot. And again, I wouldn't do this stuff into the season. It could create some really bad habits. Or if I'm cranking on this, another quick point to make, I'm never going at more than 70-80%. It's the smooth. So smooth goes far. I want to stay smooth, I want to stay efficient, moving well with this rather than moving fast or moving with a real heavy weight. Again, 6 kilos, max of about 8 kilos. That's about the heaviest I've gone and would recommend. So it's like a lot of things, that Goldilocks effect of just enough weight, getting smooth and transitioning between those positions and just staying consistent with it. So hope that helps guys. Again, that's for weight for distance especially. It's only going to help, especially if you're a rotational stone guy and working on stone drills separately or anything. Again, in the footwork realm, it's only going to condition those feet, knees, all the way up the linkage for a healthier body and more efficiency as we're working into the throws, making that connection. So check it out, guys.